He came into the world without any external physical sign of years, and the doctor admitted, when pressed for an opinion, that the child would likely be deaf and mute for life. I challenged the doctor's opinion. I had the right to do so. I was the child's father. I too reached a decision and rendered an opinion, but I expressed the opinion silently in the secrecy of my own heart. I decided that my son would hear and speak. I thought of the words of the immortal Emerson. The whole course of things goes to teach us faith. We need to only obey. There is guidance for each of us, and by lowly listening, we shall hear the right word. The right word, desire. Every day I renewed the pledge I had made to myself not to accept this disability for my son. As he grew older and began to take notice of things around him, we observed that he had a slightest degree of hearing. That was all I need to know. We bought a Victrola, an old-fashioned phonograph. The child heard the music for the first time. He went into ecstasies and promptly appropriated the mission. He soon showed a preference for certain records, among them It's a Long Way to Tipperary. On one occasion he played the piece over and over for almost 2 hours, standing in front of the Victrola with his teeth clamped on the edge of the case. The significance of this self-formed habit of him did not become clear to us until years afterward, for we had never heard of the principle of bone conduction of sound at that time. When he was about 7, he showed the first evidence that our method of servicing his mind was bearing fruit. For several months he begged for the privilege of selling newspapers, but his mother would not give her a consent. She was afraid that his deafness made it unsafe for him to go out on the street alone. Finally, he took matters into his own hands. One afternoon he left home with the servants. He climbed through the kitchen window, shin to the ground, and set out on his own. His mother opened his hands, removed the coins that he had earned, and cried. Of all things, crying over her son's first victory seemed so inappropriate. During his last week in college after years, something happened which marked the most important turning point in his life. Through what seemed to be a mere chance, he came into possession of another hearing aid device which was sent to him on trial. He was slow about testing it because of his disappointment with the earlier device. Finally, he picked the instrument up and more or less carelessly placed it on his head, hooked up the battery, and lo, as if it broke a stroke of magic, his lifelong desire for normal hearing became a reality. For the first time in his life, he could hear practically as well as any person with normal hearing.